All right. Thank you very much for joining. My name is Sohail Adnan, and I have over 11 years of experience in IT. I started my career with Windows administration in VMware. I worked there for about 5.5 years in that domain, and then I pursued my interest into AWS and Linux about 5.5 years ago. And here I am. Let me mute Bhaskar. All right. This is also muted. All right, so now that is out of the way. So I have over 11 years of experience. I started my career working with Windows and then moved into VMware. Then I picked up Linux and then AWS, right? So this is my journey. I am one of you. I started your career where you have started. Not that difficult, right? So today you're here to understand some of the offerings that AWS have and what we can do here to fulfill those gaps, right? Now, the first thing is from a certification perspective. AWS has several certification tracks that you could see on your screen right now. On the right hand side, we have specialty or specialty certification that are not active yet, right? This is in the pipeline, and Amazon is working on this to release this, but this is still not active for you to book and register. So likewise, if you see the one that is in the bottom, the foundational track, the foundational track is also optional and it is grayed out, so it is still not available for registration, right? So the only active certification track that is available is the one that is in hash color, associate track. So in the associate track, we have AWS certified associate architect. Then we have AWS developer associate, and then we have AWS certified sysops administration, right? So if we have candidates who have more than 8 years of experience. So if you have more than 8 years of experience, then you will be pursuing your interest with AWS Certified Architect Associate. So this is the track most likely that you should focus at. Um, this will help you to get into architect. This will also help you becoming a technical manager, or if you want to be a consultant, you can get into consulting also, right? And most of the certification will help you out to pursue your endeavor in some of these tracks that you have. But however, if we have candidates who are less than 8 years of experience, right, who are 0 to 2, 2 to 4, and 4 to 6 that we are looking at right now, right? So those candidates will start their career with AWS Certified Developer Associate. If you are a developer and you write codes for your living, such as Python, Java, and that is your primary job that you do, then mostly you'll focus towards AWS Developer Associate track. And candidates who are from a non-coding background, who are from an operational background, such as network engineers, storage, database, Windows, Linux that we're looking at, VMware. So some of these candidates that we're looking at will fall into sysops administration associate category, right? So this is the category that they will fall into, and mostly you will pursue your career here because you do not want to write code, but you want to get into operation and manage the AWS infrastructure, right? So once this is done, this certification will cost you $150 that you pay to AWS directly, and you book your slot there. And then it has 2 years of validity, right? So before the 2-year certification expires, it is important that you jump and you get a professional certificate over your associate certificate that you have earned, right? So let's discuss professional certificate. So for you to write architect professional, the prerequisite is architect associate. You directly cannot write professional certificate. You first have to write an architect certificate, pass, and only then you can attempt for professional, right? So likewise, developer and the sysops administrator will do DevOps engineer. If you see, these two DevOps engineer are the exact same certificate, right? So there's no deviation from the course that is available. These all both the things are exact same. So therefore, either I'm a developer or a sysops, I can always get into DevOps. So that is the track that is trying to explain here, right? Now, the professional track will cost you $300 that you directly again pay to AWS and register your slot. But you also understand the prerequisite is, in order to write professional, you need to have architect associate. In order to write DevOps, you need to either have developer or you need to have a sysops administration, right? Only then you can write that. So it's a $300 certificate, again valid for 2 years, right? And mostly candidates will write associate track and probably wait for a couple of months or a year or so, and then they'll attempt to write the professional track. right? So what is it that we are covering from the training perspective? In this training that you're enrolling right now, we will be focusing on architect associate and architect professional. We'll be focusing on architect associate and architect professional, and then we'll be focusing on sysops administration and devops engineer. SysOps administration and DevOps engineer. We will not be covering AWS developer in this training. We will not be covering AWS developer in the training, but except AWS developer, we do sysops, devops, architect associate, and architect professional. So these are the four modules that we will be covering in the training, right? Now, why are we doing this? Why are we clubbing these many, right? See, the first thing is we see a lot of job descriptions that are coming in the market, and every job description that we see, right, they ask for cloud plus devops, right? DevOps plus cloud is what they ask in pretty much every resume that we see there. So it has become critical for us to teach you DevOps also on the cloud, so that either you're getting into a product company or a service company, you should be best of both worlds, right? So from a knowledge perspective, we will cover all four modules, but based on your IT experience, if you're less than 8 years, then you will probably take a sysops administration certification track and then get into DevOps. If you have already 8 years crossed in your IT experience, then you pick it up architect associate and then move into professional, right? So from a knowledge perspective, we'll cover four, but from a certification track, you can take whatever track that you would like to pursue, right? Now, where do we train you? Right, so we need to train you on a platform. We need to give you a real world experience, because mostly candidates join our training only because they want hands-on experience, and they say that, sir, can you do us 100% practical, give us 100% practical, please give us lots of hands-on, teach us how to do a lot of things, go to all the nooks and corners, teach us everything, we want hands-on, right? But usually what we do is, for you to understand what exactly you're doing, a portion of theory is needed, right? A portion of theory is needed, and even for you to clear an interview, you need to know what exactly you're doing, therefore theory is needed there. So what we have done is we have kept 40% theory, right, which will help you out to crack your examination and your interview, and 60% practical. So there are a lot of practical that you do. It's a real world experience, real projects that we'll be working with. So where do we train you? We will be training you on AWS. And who doesn't have an AWS account, please bookmark this website, or you can write it down, or you can access it right now as we are speaking. You have to go to aws.amazon.com/free. So aws.amazon.com/free. So this is the certification website this is the registration website that you need to visit, and you can sign up a free account for 12 months. Right? If you see here, Amazon will give you a free 12 months trial on their platform. So we encourage each one of you to go to this website, register yourself a free account. It is as simple as registering an email address, or registering a Facebook account, right? It is pretty simple. The sign up process is pretty simple. Go ahead and register an account, and then a lot of contents that are available on the internet. You can go ahead, watch YouTube videos, and then do your lab on AWS account. There are a lot of blogs that you have on the internet that you can visit, and you can probably follow your labs there, right? But what is it that our training offers you that is not there on the internet, or that is not available there, right? The first thing is, we follow a structural approach, right? You need to know where to start from. You always need to know the starting point of anything that you do, right? Where to start, where to finish. The initial spoon feeding is needed, right? And on the internet, you have lot of data, but they're unconsolidated, right? It's here and there, bits and pieces. You don't know where to pick it up, what is happening, right? So what our training will do is, our training will follow AWS well architect framework. So what this architect framework tells us is the way we are supposed to train, how we are supposed to train, and how we are supposed to work on AWS, right? So it clearly says learn, measure, build using architectural best practices.
ಇಲ್ಲ ಎ ಡಬ್ಲ್ಯೂ ಒಂದು ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಹೊತ್ತು ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅದು ಒಂದು ಹಾಫ್ ಆನ್ ಅವರ್
All right,
ಏನು
so I
ಆಗಿ
muted him also. um all right. All right. Okay. So as I was explaining you, AWS Well Architect framework. So AWS clearly tells us that how the training has to be done. After training, how we're supposed to work on the platform. So we will take a structural approach to measure and train you in that way, right? Therefore, our training is different. We do a lot of spoon feeding for you to get you started on AWS platform, right? So let's proceed further here. So it clearly says that what are the things that we have to do? Build using a structural approach. There are 5 approaches that AWS is asking us to follow during the training and at work also, right? So what is the first approach? Operational excellence. We all work in some operation, right? We are part of network, storage, database, security, identity access management, right? We are part of some operational team, right? We come from some operational background and some operational functional that we execute in our work there, right? Now, what AWS says is by learning AWS platform, you will no longer be a domain specific candidate. You will not say that I'm a network guy or I'm a storage guy, right? I'm a manager. You'll mostly will say, yeah, I'm a platform guy. On the platform, I can do network, storage, server, security, and everything in between. Right. So that is the approach that AWS will ask you to do. The idea here is that once you learn AWS platform, right, you will end up replacing 5 people role in the market. You might ask me how, right? So what AWS has done is in the name of operational excellence, they have automated lot of work already, right? You might see a lot of applications there. You should know how to write Puppet. You should know how to do Ansible, right? You should know how to do Salt, couple of other things also, right? Chef, right? So what AWS has done is a lot of those work has already been automated. Let me give you a couple of example here. So today there is no storage administrative work on AWS that is entirely automated. There is no database administrator work, L0, 1, 2, and 3. That is also automated. And in fact, I was taking one demo last week. I happened to talk to a Hadoop administrator. Hadoop administrator said, sir, I have paid 25,000 and I have learned Hadoop, right? But it is so unfortunate that the Hadoop administrative role is not there on the cloud. That is also automated. Right. So you need to understand that going forward, in the name of operational excellence, Amazon has pretty much automated every administrative job that you could widely imagine of. Right. So therefore, this particular training will be your last administrative training of your life. This will be your last administrative training of your life. After this, you never have to learn anything to do an administrative work. It could be data science, artificial intelligence, machine learning, right? Any technology that you're talking about, Amazon has 108 different services, right? And all this administrative work is automated. So remember, this will be your last administrative training. After this, any training that you take, it has to be a functional training. A functional training means a development related training. That is the only training that you should be focusing at. And this training will be your last administrative training, because after this, in the name of operation excellence, pretty much you can end up replacing 5 people's role. You can build Hadoop cluster yourself, you can build databases yourself, and things will happen everything automatically on the background, and you don't even have to write a single line of code to do this, right? So that is what operational excellence is all about. So I will teach you what are the automation tools that AWS offers, how to use them properly, so that you can go and deliver your job effectively wherever that you go and work, right? So that is what we train you in operational excellence. Second thing is security, right? Security, again, one t-shirt cannot fit all. There's a different t-shirt for different person, right? There are different sizes that are available. So likewise, security has different best practices that you secure differently, right? If it is a network, you will put SSL and you encrypt the tunnel, right? If it is database, you will encrypt the volume, right? So there are various different use cases. If it is Windows, right, you'll do the OS hardening, right? So we'll teach you several different security best practices, including VPN, VPC, right? We also teach you identity and access management. We will also teach you AWS inspector, right? We teach you ops work here. So some of these security related product is what we also cover you in the training, to make sure that you will not only excel wherever that you go, right? You can go ahead and write your exams also, because they'll ask you a lot of security related questions in exam. And finally, in the interview also, they will ask you security related questions on AWS, right? So we'll ensure that you'll become proficient here. You will understand how security groups would work. How do you allow inbound traffic there? All these discussions you can have in your interview and gain the panelist confident that you have worked on this technology. So we cover security in detail and reliability, right? We always think, yeah, what if I go to office today, I wish I could have had no tickets or maybe less tickets, right? We always feel, yeah, let's have some less work. I have to work on less tickets. I should get some time for me to study or focus something somewhere else, right? So from that perspective, we will teach you how do you design a highly available architecture. Can that be load balanced, right? Can it scale if it has to? If it fails, can it self heal itself? Right? How do you mitigate single point of failure? So these are the questions that they typically ask in the interview as a solution architect, right? So you should not only able to answer them, but you should able to design and show it to them as part of a POC. And guys, everything that I'm saying here on the screen is practical, right? This is 60% practical that I was talking about. So a lot of things that I'm covering on the screen is all practical, right? So moving forward, performance efficiency, right? Something which works, absolutely works, something which is proper, right? You should no, you don't have to do an over provisioned or under provision, which is just right. For example, big billion day, Flipkart big billion day sale, right? Everybody went on to a website, even I went. I wanted to buy a phone for my sister, but by the time I went there, it was sold out, right? So for Amazon, for every person who's coming to his website, or for a Flipkart, every person is coming to his website, he would think he's a buyer, but not necessarily everybody would end up buying one, right? So can my infrastructure is intelligent enough that typically I get 10,000 people traffic, but all of a sudden now I have 20,000 or maybe 1,000, 30,000 people on my website. So can I scale? Can I scale accordingly? And as and when traffic comes down from 30,000 to let's say 25,000, then 20, 15 that we are looking at. So after that, can my infrastructure scale down, right? Can it meet the performance that it is needed? Can I put my infrastructure intelligently to work that way? That is what we'll be covering in performance efficiency classes. And finally, cost optimization, right? So as a solution architect, because we're also covering solution architect here in the syllabus, you need to understand what is the total cost of ownership. How do you calculate that, right? And how do you get a return on investment out of the total cost of ownership that customer has committed, right? So you need to understand that, and then we will teach you how to do AWS resources pricing. Therefore, this will help you out to understand how do you create bill of material as a solution architect. How do you put those costings in your proposal if you're proposing and if you're talking to customer, right? Apart from that, from a cost optimization perspective, we will also be covering. Guys, please mute yourself. Requesting you to mute yourself. Thank you. Bhaskar, can you mute yourself? All right. So cost optimization is we all understand, right? We all work in an operations right now. So 33% of that cost is towards the infrastructure, the hardware, software, the virtualization, customer environment, running customer application. That is the 33% cost for the company. And remaining 66% cost is a people cost, like you and me, right? We are L0, L1, L2, L3. We may be technical manager. We're also solution architect and consultant, right? So there are various roles that we are playing right now, right? So all this work is automated, and people, when they move their businesses to AWS, in the process AWS will help them to significantly cut people cost, because the first reason is operational excellence. I told you I will teach you a lot of automation tools that are already built into AWS. By using them, you can end up replacing 5 people role, and that will reflect in your cost optimization. And this is another reason why companies are dying to move into AWS cloud, because when they take their business, they're not only saving on the infrastructure cost, but they need a lot less people right now to manage their infrastructure on AWS, right? So these are the other things that we will teach you, so that this will help you to make a right hiring decision, hire a right candidate who has multiple skills. And therefore that is why in the job descriptions anywhere that you see, they'll ask you multiple skilled person. They'll expect you to know far too many things for that job, right? So therefore it is important. So we'll teach you from a cost optimization perspective as well. Therefore you can take decision in hiring a right candidate, right? So let me quickly summarize what we have discussed so far. We have talked about certifications. We know what certifications that we will be covering, why we have merged it, and what problem that we are trying to solve, right? We have also understood where we're going to train you. We're going to train you on real AWS platform, because each one of you will have a free AWS account, and that is where we're going to train you. The training method is pretty clear. I have showed you what is a structural approach that we will follow to train you properly, right? Unlike like any other training centers, they're only introducing you to a couple of services and they will tell you what it does. But again, there is a structural approach that is missing, and it is very important. So we do that. We do a lot of hygiene works to make sure that the quality of the training is maintained, right? So once we train you in this way, right? So how does this training happen? First thing is the solution based training, 60% hands on, and we'll build minimum two projects in the training. We'll minimum build two projects in the training. Most popular is DevOps. We have made one DevOps project mandatory because they're asking those questions in the interview. And then once one project that we do is with service delivery and monitoring, right? That project we do because from an operational perspective, they're asking a lot of questions on that also, right? So we these two projects we have kept mandatory. Apart from that, we can do a couple of other projects such as building an e-commerce platform like Flipkart, or building a CRM solution. In last batch, we built our own social networking site on AWS, right? So there are ample amount of opportunities that we have and we can work around them, right? So from a project perspective, we do a lot of solution based training and you get a lot of hands on. Now what is next after the training is done? What is next, right? Guys, listen to this carefully. There are five things that we do. Listen to this carefully. There are five things that we do. The first thing that we do is, if you have worked on Google, right? So if you have gone to Google website, and if you have worked on Google websites for searching anything, right? Maybe an issue that you have, or maybe you're looking for an iPhone, right? So what Google will do is, Google will give you results on first page. It'll give you 10 results on first page, and then it'll give you 10 more on second and 10 more on third, right? So like that, you have page 5, page 10, page 15, and page 20 also, right? So mostly what you do is you spend your time on page 1, 2, and most of the time page 1 is where you get all your answers anyways. You need not have to even click on page 2 to see the results. Mostly on page 1 you get the results that you're looking for, right? So therefore if you are a HR and you're sitting on a naukri.com or a job portal, and if you're searching for me, right? And if I have done a badly done resume, if I do not have a right keywords captured, right, my resumes will sit on page 5, page 15, or page 20. You might come and you might probably see 10 profiles on page 1, 2, and 3, and you might pick it up those guys. And then out of 30 people, I'm sure you have about 5 6 positions available, and you will fill with them, right? So therefore it becomes very necessary that we redo your whole resume. So we will not give you a template and say we'll follow this. We usually sit with you and we ensure that we write your resumes in a way that it makes sense and it is related to you. So the first thing what we do is the kind of a training, that the knowledge that we are giving in the training, we confidently put about 6 to 8 months of experience in your resume right now, because we are very confident that the amount of training that we're giving, the knowledge that we're giving in the training is enough for you to clear an interview for a 6 to 8 months of AWS related experience on your CV. So we will capture that one. Second thing is we do a lot of projects. I told you DevOps, service delivery, e-commerce, and couple of other things. We will take one or two projects and we will put that in your resume. In the process, we will capture all the keywords that are needed. So once if you put this into naukri.com or Times Job, because the resume has all the necessary keywords that are needed, it will list your resume on page 1, 2, and 3, and mostly you have greater chances of getting a phone call. So that is the very core step that we do after our training. We make sure that you're visible so that people can at least reach out to you and you get a fair chance of at least getting couple of interviews. If you're failing in the interview, it is all right. We can go back and brush up the syllabus and re-prepare ourselves. And if you need revision, you can come back to me. We can do a revision for you, right? Again, it is very important that you get visibility. People start calling you, people start knowing that you're skilled on AWS, and you should get a fair chance of at least couple of interview calls. So that is our responsibility. That is what we do from our stage 1 out of 5. So let's move to stage 2. What is the next thing that we do, right? So in the interview, once you get a call, it is important that you have to crack an interview, right? So lot of people come and ask me, sir, can you give me interview questions? And I laugh. There is nothing called as interview questions, right? Every interviewer is different. Every interviewer's experience is different, and they might ask you different things based on different situation, right? So the best way to crack an interview, or the art of cracking an interview, is you sit in the interview and you tell them what you have done and what you know. They will always ask you, tell me about yourself, what work you have done, what tools that you're familiar with, how depth work that you have done. So these are the things that you need to articulate, right? So what happens is, some of the candidates that I have worked with, when they're sitting in an interview, in the mock interviews that we have done, uh, the thing that we have identified is, because the syllabus are new, the chapter is new, or maybe they're freshly done learning, right? They will never have things, or they don't know where to start from or what to talk about, right? Because they run out of content, they will not have content. So if I tell you, if I ask you today, what you guys do right now, you will probably talk to me for 20-25 minutes, tell me what work you have done for last 15 days, what are the problems that you have seen, how did you fix those problems, how long did you take to fix it, what and all you had to do it, is there any dependency, did you had to work with a cross team such as network or database to solve that problem, right? So you can talk to me about that, and you can narrate some of the work that you're doing, and I can probably probe you and understand how work that you have done, right? So likewise in an AWS interview also happens the exact same thing. Since we're doing a solution based training and we're giving you 60% of hands-on experience, and we're going to write projects for you in your resume, that is the exact same project that you have to talk to him in the interview. Talk about the project, talk about the services that you have used, what failed while you're building it, why it failed, how did you correct it, right? And the panelists will try to drill you down and understand how depth work that you have done. And out of 10 questions the panelists ask, the expectation is to answer at least 4 or 5, 40 to 50%. Nobody's 100%, neither am I, neither you are, right? So about 40 to 50% domain proficiency if you could show, that will get you a job, right? So again, it is our responsibility. We train you in a way, we give you a lot of hands-on experience, we ensure that you mug your resume, a lot of preparations that we do that will help you out to crack an interview. So once you crack your interview, right, we go to stage 3, you have to go and work there. So like any other technology such as Windows or Linux or networking that we're looking at, in some company we'll have one or two guys with this knowledge, you can always reach out and take help. However, right? However, AWS is new, and there might be a possibility that you are the first guy or you're the only guy, right? And therefore, it becomes very critical that you go and deliver alone. So we will train you in a way and we'll give you a lot of hands-on experience, and we are confident that you can go and work solo there. You can go and work alone there, right? And we promise all our candidates that we give them lifetime on-job support on AWS, right? Not only now, after 5 years also, if you reach out to us, we'll give you lifetime free on-job support, right? So we are building a channel right now using Slack. We already have nearly 400 plus students that we have trained. We're adding them all. We're also going to add you in a couple of more batches that we're going to take. We're going to add that in the Slack, right? And we're creating this community for on-job support where each other can help each other to solve each other's AWS related problem. So lifetime on-job support is there, and you will be the administrator and manage this portal, right? And then finally, what is after that? Once you go and deliver your work solo, even after that, if you have a challenge, there's an on-job support portal that we have where you get lifetime access and lifetime support for free. The last thing is examination. The last fifth section is examination. How do you clear an examination, right? So by just reading it or by attending a class, it is very unlikely that somebody would go ahead and clear the examination, right? You need to get familiarized with examination questions. You need to get familiarized the kind of a questions that they ask, right? So what we have done is over a period of last 12 months that we have started training, we have done several examinations to our candidates, and in the process we have captured nearly 500 plus questions, right? And this have happened in last 1 year right now, and we have the latest questions also with us. So we have built an interactive examination system, right? So that you can go and take exams, and if you fail, it is okay. You can get to know what is the correct answer, and you can go back and retake it, and you can retake it a millionth time, right? And you can go through all 500 questions a millionth time. Prepare yourself, and you know that you can get maximum questions right every time that you give. That means you're ready to go and give your real exam, right? So these are the 5 things that we do apart from training you, right? So guys, this concludes today's demo, right? So if you have any questions, let me know, or I will quickly dive in. And probably Bhaskar told me that to create something and show it to you, because most of you had requested that to create something pretty simple in the class, show it to them how something is built, right? How easy or difficult it is. So Bhaskar did inform me that I have to create one. So if you still have any questions, you can let me know, or I can quickly dive in and set up a demo and show it to you how to build something very nice, and then we will wind up a day.
Hi there. I have a
Go ahead,
question.
buddy. What question you have?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The question I have is that you mentioned that we'll do a DevOps project. So what is the tool set that you are employing in that end-to-end pipeline for that project?
Okay. So we also have another audience. So let me give you a quick brush up. So what we are trying to do right now is we have a question here, where a question is, what is a tool chain that we are following in order to build a CI/CD or a continuous integration, continuous delivery pipeline, right? Now, the first thing that you need is your tools. Tools could be such as Eclipse, Visual Studio, PyCharm that we are looking at. Then you need a source or code system such as GitHub or SVN, or in case of AWS, it is Code Commit. And then you need a build system in the pipeline. This could be Jenkins, Solano, Octopus, TeamCity. But in case of AWS for your DevOps exam, it is Code Build. And then for your deployment in your traditional data center, you will probably work with Python or Ansible, Puppet Chef, right? But here we'll be using Code Deploy, OpsWork, Beanstack, CloudFormation, Elastic Container Service for our deployment. And then finally, you have monitoring. In the traditional data center, you could have Nagios, Zabbix, or any of the monitoring tool that we are looking at. But in AWS, we have CloudWatch. And the last thing is, in traditional data center, you will use Jira for reporting, bug tracking. You have Bugzilla and a couple of other tools. AWS does not have a reporting tool yet, so we have to bring a reporting tool. So from a tool chain perspective, we have Code Build. If you see here, Code Commit is my repository replacement for Git. Code Build is a replacement for Jenkins. Code Deploy is a replacement for your Puppet Chef and other things that you're looking at. And Pipeline is a service which I can create a pipeline around my CI/CD. And finally, I also have an editor called Cloud9, which is a replacer for Eclipse that we're looking at, right? But however, the candidates have reached out to us and asked us, can you create a pipeline with combination of AWS services and services from outside, right? We have created pipeline where we have created Code Commit as a source repository, but build we have used Jenkins, right? Or we have done vice versa, where for source repository we have used Git, but for build we have used Code Build, right? So AWS is very interoperated. Therefore, you can also bring in outside tools and you can integrate. So it will be fun. You guys tell me how you want to see your DevOps. Since we have said it's a solution-based training, that means it's a solution-based training. Nothing is pre-recorded or pre-rehearsed. We will build it for real. If it fails for real. We will troubleshoot it for real, and we'll complete our build project, right? Whether it has to be an outside tool or an AWS tool. So to answer your question, mostly we emphasize on some of these tools such as Code Commit, Code Build, Code Deploy, and Pipeline. But we also introduce Git. We also cover a portion of Git, GitHub, and we also cover a portion of Jenkins in our pipeline.
Thank you for that. And without taking much time, I think I have a very brief kind of doubt. You scared that you're suggesting that everything is switching to AWS in the name of operational and process efficiency.
Right.
That we've got everything, as a black box, and you just bring in a requirement, and you have all the solutions under the roof. But so. You in the market see that there are these job requirements where they are asking for configuration management tools like Chef or Ansible. They have those investments. So how long before do you think that this utopian, as much as I don't want it to happen immediately, but what is the timeline that you see that everything switching over to AWS as an end-to-end solution? How far
22,
ahead that is? Say that again.
22,
2022. Okay, in next
Yes.
3 to 4 years time.
The reason why I say that is 85% of the IT industry is still on premise. 85% of the IT industry is still on premise, or they're working with co-location, or they're working with vendors, right? So the cloud market is enormous, so therefore there's a huge opportunity for a movement here. But you need to also understand that the clients that I'm working with, right, when I said why don't you move it to cloud and I'll give cloud for free, so they say that, Sohail, I have already made my investment. I have made my investment for next 5 years. I'm waiting for the results to yield. I've already given contracts to outsourcing companies. They've already hired people, and I've promised to use those people for next 5 years to manage my legacy infrastructure that I'm managing. I've already worked with data centers. I've paid them money for next 5 years to keep the machine running, right? I've already paid licenses to VMware and Oracle for next 5 years, and therefore I have to continue to use that. So the idea here is that customers are trying to protect their investment right now. However, this 5 years will complete very soon, right? Once this 5 years complete, the first thing that they would think is, should I go back and renew my contracts with the third party vendors or the same data center, or should I take the new route and move into cloud? So there are two directions to this. First is they're moving some of the workload onto the cloud, and they're taking the hybrid model where a portion of their workload is on, they're setting up cloud practices right now. You're trying to understand pros and cons of cloud, some of the use cases right now. So the adoption is great, but a big bang or a full move will only happen once the IT cycle happens. They rediscuss and understand the next cycle of investment. The next cycle of new investment will be on the cloud, and the 85% that I'm seeing it right now on on-premise, 20% of that will move by 2022.
Thank you for that.
All right, so let's begin, guys. I was told to do a demo. So I'm going to build a simple e-commerce website. The source code was developed by an open source organization called OpenCart, and it was pre-baked and built by a third-party marketplace vendor called Bitnami, right? So I'm going to pick up one of the image, which was pre-created by a vendor. I'm going to deploy it and show it to you how easy and simple it is to create an EC2 machine or a virtual instance, having an application pre-installed and running off of a cloud, right? A very simple project that I'm going to create and demonstrate. So if you see on my screen right now, I am into AWS Management Console, and I'm in a Mumbai region right now. So I'm in a Mumbai region, and in this region, I have two availability zone. I mean, two physical data centers segregated by the network, right? So two availability zones that we have, and I'm going to go and launch a machine here. I see a lot of background noise here. Let me try to mute these guys. All right. So what I'm doing right now is I'm trying to look for a pre-built stack of OpenCart or e-commerce application, right? Though in the training, we're going to build this stack from grounds up. But because in the demo, I have a very limited time to demonstrate my ability, I'm trying to use something that was pre-created. So I'm in a part of a community AMI section. And once you sign up with the training and when you have an AWS account, you will also be a part of a community member. You can do your work, and you can collaborate with other developers, or you can make this image publicly available for other individuals like you and me to consume that and use them in our project. So I'm going to select a Bitnami OpenCart template. I'm going to select an Ubuntu machine because I'm familiar with Ubuntu's and Ubuntu's command. Since it's a free account that I have, Amazon is prompting that I'm eligible for a free tier, and I can launch a micro virtual machine which has 1 core CPU and 1 GB RAM. I think it is sufficient for today's lab. Configure instance detail. Probably I'm going to skip the network section today, not going to focus on network. All right, 10 GB storage is fine. Let me tag this machine. Let me configure security group. So I need HTTP port 80, and I also need HTTPS. I don't need a SSH port. I'm not going to log into this server. So if I don't need this port, why should I open it, right? So I've closed the SSH port. So therefore, nobody can log into the root of that machine. I think this looks fine. All right, a quick summary of what I have done so far. I have picked up an Amazon image here, sorry, a Bitnami OpenCart image here. I'm running off of a T2 Micro, which has 1 core CPU and 1 GB RAM, right? And then quickly some of the ports that are opened here. So remember the ports that I opened in my previous screen, I opened once, but it's showing up twice here. The first entry is IPv4, the second entry is IPv6. So therefore, You see two entries here. So let me launch. I've pre-created, I guess, a key pair here. Proceed without creating a key. Launch. So as you could see here, it was pretty simple. I went through a couple of orchestration screens. I key in my values, and you saw how quickly it was able to retrieve those information. And on the fly, it has started provisioning a virtual machine for me, right? The virtual machine status says it is initializing. Probably will give it about 30 more seconds so that it can settle down there. So while we are waiting to settle the machine down, let me quickly show you a couple of other information. This machine was created now. If you see the time here and the time in my system, so the machine was created now. It was created in my availability zone 1A. As I have told you before, Mumbai has 2 data centers, so it has created on the first one, right? And this is a micro machine. Let me copy the public IP address. I am still seeing the machine is initializing. Let me give a quick refresh. It is still not ready. Just give me a couple of moments, guys. It is still initializing. All right, so it took a pause, but it came back. So if you see here, this is how one of the projects that we typically build and deploy on some of our classes for fun. So this is a fully functional e-commerce platform that you see. This is not a typical website or an HTML site. It has a commerce engine built into it. There's a service category, product category, payment engine, and a couple of other things that are also built into it. So it's a full-fledged complex e-commerce platform. Let me give you a quick tour here. I'm going to add a Mac product, and price again, it's not real. So I've added the product to the cart. Let me check out. I'm not going to worry about security. It's just a dummy server that I have. So I'm going to skip ignoring that. And there you go. So simple customer experience. You added a product, you add it to the card, you key in your shipping information, your card information, and then you check out, right? And let me also quickly give you a tour of how does a backend would look like. Um, right? So if you see here, some of these areas that you see will show you how your e-commerce platform is experiencing the dashboard. I gave you that Flipkart example and auto scaling example, right? So you can see that how many current people are there on your website, what products that they are buying, and all that historical information and trending information will show up here, right? And if you want to change your product category, changing the prices and other things, you can probably come and do it from here, right? So this is fun. So we do typical projects like this. We pick up something which was pre-built by somebody else. We try to copy and understand how they have built, and we come back and we build it from ground up again, right? To match and see how whether did we get it right or not. So again, as I told you before, it's a solution based training, nothing pre-scripted. We always dive into something new that we build. If we're stuck, we troubleshoot and we fix the problem and we take it from there, right? So this is about it, guys. So this concludes today's demo. I have my machine running. The status says 2 out of 2 check. I am good, right? So I'm open for questions. Let's have chit chat. Let me get to know each other. Talk to me about yourself. If you have any questions, I will take it up, or probably we'll call it a day. Guys, don't you have any question? So I see that somebody's pinging me on chat here. Guys, tuition fee, Class availability and other information, you may have to reach out to Bhaskar. Bhaskar is taking care of student consolidate. I am basically a trainer here, so Bhaskar should guide you through on what you have to do, or when the classes are available. He
Can you
will
hear
share
me?
you the meeting links and other things. Yes, go ahead.
Okay, so I'm just thinking of a quick question here. I'm a network consultant from around 11 years. I'm trying to relate it that how in my profile of network consultancy, AWS would translate to, because this is all about auto scaling and managing the hardware infrastructure over the cloud. Right. So how am I being, for example, I deal in Cisco voice collaboration features. So like our call managers and all, that will be migrated to, I believe, AWS. But eventually that will be AWS guys who would do it, not us, right? So how does this
No.
translate to me? How would I learn
Mhm.
AWS?
See, AWS is a cloud service provider. They're not managed service partner. Therefore, you have to do it, right? That is where you're getting trained, and that is where the certifications are available. See, Amazon cannot succeed without their partners. So Amazon is not a managed service partner. If you go and raise a ticket and if you say, help me out and I'll pay $1 million, Amazon is not going to help you out. So what Amazon going to do is Amazon going to bring a partner, one of its partner, and through his partnership, he will make sure that he'll solve his problem, right? So today, if you cannot directly go to Oracle and buy Oracle products. Today, directly cannot go to Microsoft and buy Microsoft products, right? So if you buy products, they will always direct you through some channel. Say, come through our partners, and there you buy that. So most of the thing that works, it works through a partner ecosystem. Amazon is not a managed service partner, and that is why they have launched certification programs in the market so that people can get trained on platform and support on platform, right? Now, to answer your question from a networking perspective, purely from a networking perspective, Amazon, pretty much any networking products that you widely imagine of that are available. See, Broket is available, Juniper is available, but I remember you were talking about Cisco, I guess. I think you were asking about Cisco. If you see, Cisco products are also available. Uh, Please pardon me, I do not understand the product differentiation, but if you could tell me a specific product, I can look for it if you want. I was also looking for another product the other day. It was F5 ELB. So F5 load balancer is also available, right? Junipers are available, Broket also is available. So anything that you want, that is available. And the beauty about this is you can all pick up complex enterprise products for 30 days trial, use it for yourself, do your lab, get it trained, and then delete it off, right? Unlike like traditional networking training where you have to go to networking center for you to get the access to the lab that they have set it up. But here you can create a virtual lab with any networking products that you want, and they are readily available. So again, Amazon will not do it for you. You have to come here, you have to build it, and you have to deploy. Amazon will give you this as a service, so that anything that you pay, you directly do not pay to F5 or Cisco. You will directly pay to Amazon. Amazon will pay them back. So you have one billing dashboard. So anything you want, you pick it up, start using it. If you don't like it, you throw it off, pick it another switch or something, play with it. If you don't like it, you throw it off. So you're talking about some Vivo IP and other things also. Let me figure that out for you. Vivo IP. So there are a couple of Vivo IP products also that you
So I
asked.
was talking about
Um,
Cisco Call Manager, Cisco Communication
mm,
Manager, you may call. This is what the product is called. Communication
Cisco
Manager. Cisco Communication Manager.
Communication, right? Cisco Communication Manager. Guys, please mute yourself. So I am not seeing that. So the answer is I don't think that is available here, right? If it is not available, nothing is stopping you again. Bring up a Linux or a Windows machine and feel free to put it yourself there and set up an image. That you can do anyways here, right? If that is not available. So that is one. Uh,
Pure
and
naughty.
the guys, okay, right. The second thing is that you have asked what is the other role that you will be doing on AWS. Apart from not having a Cisco manager, you can bring that, as I have told you before. But if you see on my screen, Amazon
Yeah.
has a
Why
service
would
called
I
VPC,
why would
Virtual
I learn
Private Cloud.
AWS? That's beautiful.
I'm sorry. Hello? Hello?
Yeah, so my question remains unanswered. So Hale, that why would I, being the network consultant, try and learn AWS?
Mhm. The reason why, because your job is automated, buddy. If you see here, Amazon has done all the network software defined networking for you, so the entire network job is automated. So the only thing that is available is network function virtualization. So the networking role that you typically do on your traditional data center is no longer relevant on the cloud. Therefore, all your work is automated here. So it becomes very important that you switch gear. Apart from networking, try your hands on some of the other areas, and don't just be a network consultant. Be a database, be a software, be an infrastructure, right? Try to cover multiple broader perspective on the cloud platform, because the consulting work that you've been doing in a traditional data center may not be relevant on the cloud. That work is also automated.
How many people are there in who are like AWS certified? Just to know that if it is really worth doing it now. How's the crowd overall who's AWS
I
certified?
think it is far too less right now. Certified, you'll get a lot of certified people for sure, but the AWS crowd is far too less. The reason why we see is every job application that is available, right? For every 10 job applications that you see, we hardly have one or two guys appearing for multiple interviews. This market is not crowded yet. We are still into a very early stage right now. Though AWS was started in 2006, we are 12 years in business right now. But as I've told you previously, it is less than 15% of the market share that the entire cloud industry is running right now. So this is a very niche market, and there are far less people that they have. So you're not in the crowded market such as networking, right? Everyone has CCNI, CCNP, CCNS, and couple of networking categories that you see there. Those markets are already crowded. Windows markets are crowded. Storage and other markets are crowded. Virtualization markets are crowded, right? So you'll always get into a technology such as cloud, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data science, which are emerging technology, and get into a niche market and be relevant. That's what you're trying to do. Because once you get into this, after 4 years from now, you'll be just another guy, because you will every other friend that you will talk to will be trained on AWS, right? So therefore, you will not be in a crowded market right now, and I think it's a very right time that you become relevant. As I've told you before, 2022, you become relevant, and then you play your role in the niche markets. You get more chances to crack your interview. You're not competing with others. Nobody will come back and say, I can get better resource for less, or we can only offer you this. People will find a good resource like you. They're ready to pay anything that they want, but there are far too many like you that are available. They have choices, right? So I think it's the right time now.
So there are you saying that there are a lot of jobs as well in AWS. To put it in a context, what's the data?
LinkedIn, go to linkedin.com, you Google it. 2017 jobs, let me do it for you. Um, LinkedIn 2017. Mhm. See, solution architect is on number 4.
I see the scope of the question raised as very broad. It'll vary from industry, it'll vary from country to country, and your locale, which city you're in, and what's the trend locally out there. Yeah, I'd like to see like more technical questions. I'm pretty convinced that AWS is the technology to go with, but my mind is kind of still trying to register that these heavily paid and highly kind of valued DevOps roles that we have in the market today, which require these multiple or niche or eclectic combination of skill set because of the current investment or the current trend or the momentum in that particular service or a product company. How is this like when we see that everything migrated or majority or the trend is that everything is going to migrate to AWS, what's it going to be like? Because you will have these jobs for AWS pipeline managed by these vendors or partners, and they won't be valued that much because it'll become again a factory work. Something like, you know, your hosting providers, you call them and you say, hey, you know what, I'm calling for my WordPress installation. They say, oh yeah, there's a stack, I'll just reinstall it for you, and job done, 5-10 minutes. So the technical depth, the kind of security that you'd feel, you know, working with something which had that great level of technical depth where you can attain a specialization, and you know, that is gone down the line. Do you know what I mean?
I completely understand. You need to understand that going forward. See, my grandfather used to work 16 hours a day, and he never had a weekend off. Right? He was a farmer, and he only gets 8 hours of sleep, and 365 days. These days a year, he end up working there. Right? My dad worked Monday to Saturday. I work Monday to Friday, and my kids will probably work. Maybe let's say 4 hours every day for let's say 5 days or maybe 4 days, right? So you will have new kind of roles, assuming that you do not have to go and deliver pizza. We have drones there. We do not have to hire a cab. We have autonomous cars that are roaming around. uh, we don't have to order anything. We don't have to keep a maid. We can talk to Alexa, and Amazon can send those groceries at home, right? I don't have to cook anything. I have an artificial arms fixed into my kitchen which can probably do 500 different recipes, can cook breakfast for me, right? So I see where you're coming from. Mostly going forward, the kind of a jobs that we will have is how to take care of seniors, how to support them, medical care jobs, jobs that are concerned with human care, social service jobs, and these are the only jobs that we will have. Uh, Apart from that, including training is also taken over. I was working with one of these startup here. They're building a training platform with an artificial intelligence where it can do a real-time interaction with the candidates and understand and probably choreograph the entire training therefore based on his learning pattern, learning skills, and several other behaviors. So everything is going to be automated today. We saw some of the HR functions are getting automated right now. So that is the direction that we are going into. I am not saying AWS alone. Azure is also in the race. Google is also following up significantly right now. We have IBM's done significant investment. Oracle looks very serious. They have done mad investment. They have bought autonomous databases and a couple of other things, which is the next version of automation, right? So everybody are heading into that. So the idea here is that can we run in this race, and can we be relevant, right? So as long as you're relevant and innovating yourself every 4 years, right? Because Amazon certifications, that is 2 plus 2, right? So every 4 years, if you try to learn something new in AWS, we have a SageMaker, right? The other day I was reading a research paper of a data scientist. He was talking about some breast cancer, right? And I saw one startup has designed an algorithm which works on SageMaker, which can detect breast cancer. So where did that research guy's job go now, right? A simple algorithm on AWS SageMaker has replaced, right? So we no longer need data scientists. We need programmers who can sit and write algorithms for us. And the AWS SageMaker, which is AKA data scientist or an AI that you could call, will do most of the research work or a PhD work for you, right? So I understand what you're talking about. So be relevant, learn something new, try to understand what's going to happen next 4 years. I am sure you're starting your cloud career right now. After this, you'll get into deep learning, or you'll get into Internet of Things, or you might want to get into something else that might interest you, right? So that's a direction that you will take. But going forward, for my senior, the foundation was mainframe. For me, the foundation was data centers and virtualization. For the new kids, the foundation is cloud. They don't want to go and learn mainframe. You did not learn mainframe. I'm sure you started your career from data center if you're not an old person, right? So eventually people has to start from somewhere. So cloud is the foundation, and it's gonna continue to be that way going forward. Every new kid on the block will come and learn AWS, and tenuity a lot like us will think, why should we go to cloud, and will be left behind. So more new kids will get into cloud. So it is very important that we also be relevant with the new kids that are coming in into the market, understand how to work with them, understand technologies on the AWS, so we can collaboratively work with the new talent that is coming in, and we can also find our place in the cloud, right? Otherwise we'll be left behind by cloud, and we'll also be left behind by new kids that are coming into cloud now.
Yeah, I think you've replied, and you hit all the nails on the head. Yeah, so I think in summary, I'll let you go now. I'm quite interested. I'll further follow up. All I want to know is, like, you mentioned that we have a seamless, kind of operational efficient solution from, connecting from your whatever developer studio you've got through to, your production environment, and we can orchestrate the entire pipeline here, the entire path to live within AWS using the out of the box solution. But other than that, if someone has to, like, for example, focus on next 1 year, uh, uh, out of like zillions of tools, what is that you'd like to diverse the skill into to be relevant for at least next 2-3 years in the market, within the DevOps kind of DevOps toolbox? Like, what is that? Let's talk about CI. Do you suggest, like, going for Jenkins? Like, what does the trend indicate? Where do customers seem to be heavily invested in at the moment? Yeah.
Okay. See, the first thing is customer don't care what tool that you're working with. See, DevOps may you need tools, you need source or code, you need build, you need test, you need deploy, and you need monitoring, and you need to have report. So this is a chain that you need to follow, and this can be done through any tool. Now, when I spoke to a lot of my customers, the only thing that they say is, Sohail, I do not care what tool you bring in, right? Can you reduce my operational cost? And at a coffee break, I was talking to one of the customer, right? When customers was paying my coffee check, he said that, Sohail, can you do DevOps with zero operational team? Can you completely make it operational less? Can you design a DevOps model where my developer writes the code, millions of lines of code that I have, even if a single comma is changed, right? If he commits the code, the machine should be intelligent enough to pick up that code, process it, build it, test it, and then deploy it onto an end result. And the end result should be directly available to the application developer, right? An application developer can take the decision whether the code that he executed passed or failed, and he has a report in Jira, and he can pick it up and he can work on that. So he wants to create that cycle and completely eliminating the operational team out. One. Second question he asked is the time taken to release and return the result, right? That traditionally takes between 20 minutes to, let's say, 2 hours, right? Can take up to 2 days in certain DevOps model that people are following right now, right? So he asked, can you reduce that time to, let's say, less than 2 minutes, right? Can I do it in less than 5 minutes? By the time a developer walks out, pick up a coffee and come back at his desk, I want his results to be available. So there are two things that they're asking. Can I make it zero operation for my DevOps without an operational guy, without a Linux guy? Can I design a DevOps model? One. Second thing is, can I reduce the time significantly from the 20 minutes to 2 minutes or less than 2 minutes, right? So that is the direction that you have to go. And yes, in this AWS training, we will build up a DevOps pipeline where we will do a zero DevOps, where you will design and build the code, you will release the code gets deployed, it'll come back the result without a zero operational guy. So we're going to build it on AWS as part of the demo.
As much as I'd like to, I think you partly answered the question, but my question remains that I have
It is AWS native tools. You will
correct, yeah, that I
you will
acknowledge
only
that,
use
and I
AWS native tool, or you
yeah,
will use Azure native tool, or you will also
yeah,
use Google's native tool. I will compare those tools. Even everyone has those tools already, so you'll heavily rely on AWS native tools, such as mm, code build, code deploy, code pipeline, and some of these tools
fine. No,
is
yeah,
what
yeah.
going forward you will heavily rely on.
Yeah, that is acknowledged. I appreciate that, and that's what my question was not that. I was just saying that out of the toolbox, not within AWS, but in the market, whatever tools we've got, and in those contingents, whether it's CI, CD pipeline, whether it's your configuration management, your release management stuff, and out of all those, what out of this, so we will do, obviously, as part of the certification, you have to go through and cover the ground with whatever natively is available, and create that operational efficiency, but it won't strictly reflect market's requirement today. So if market, they'll ask, well, okay, are you AWS certified? Have you worked in AWS? And have you worked on, for example, Octopus, or have you worked on Jenkins and blah blah blah? So what do you recommend in terms of, like, other than AWS, in addition to AWS, this pipeline, if you have to pick up one project, what is that gold kind of suite of the tools that you recommend for each contingent, starting from code push, code checkout, to code commit, to final release?
It is
If I
Ansible.
have to do Ansible, okay.
So Ansible
So
is the
for
next
configuration
future
management,
because
Ansible. Mm-hmm.
yes,
Go on.
Ansible can do CI/CD in conjunction with your Jenkins, your Git, and everything else, because these tools are silo, and only Ansible can tie them together. And trust me, it can tie them well.
And so CI, you recommend the Amazon's own CI. You don't recommend going, studying Jenkins as well, or doing a project
See,
with Jenkins on AWS.
see the reason you can still do Jenkins with AWS. Let me show you a quick video here. So if you have logged into AWS account already, right? So if you go to the dashboard here, right? There are some of the tutorials that are already available for you to get started. And this is not difficult here. You see here, click on DevOps. And then finally, they have steps to put Jenkins together. You see, set up a Jenkins build server, right? It's not a daunting task. It's a very simple process to introduce Jenkins in your pipeline, right? But yes, because you have a pipeline, you don't need Ansible on AWS. But in a real world, when you say CI, continuous integration, you're integrating with your tools and your source. Remember that, right? So more than your build, your more focus should be on your tools. It should not be your focus, because either you use Jenkins for a build or anything else, nobody cares. What they're primarily focused on is the tools that you use, right? So when I say tools, I'm talking about IDE editor, such as Eclipse or Visual Studio. So what Amazon emphasizes, in order to ensure that there's a collaboration between developers in the DevOps, you have to use a tool called Cloud9. So what Cloud9 does is, I can have hundreds of developers sitting across the world. They can all log into single machine, and they can all work on the single line of code at the same time. And you can see in near real time, if a developer hits backspace in US, in India, the developer can see that he's backspacing the line here, right? So collaborative has taken to a whole new level, where we are also saving time, a go to market in terms of how quickly can you write codes, right? Again, your focus should be on tools, not on your build, because build is merely a component that you will use to build the package and deploy it. That's a simple thing of this puzzle right now. The primary thing that you need to focus on your puzzle is, how do you do developer collaboration? How can you find innovative ways to ensure that they can quickly write code? Can I bring developers into an SLA model, right? If the issues have been reported, how quickly they can solve. So those are the areas that your focus should be. I think you're focusing far too much on GitHub or Jenkins or here. They're merely a tools. Anything you give it to them, those guys will process, pass or fail. The results will come back to the developer. They have to work, right? Take it as it'll chew something. You'll give the food, it'll chew it, and it'll exit out. That's all a Jenkins is basically doing it. Your primary focus should be on developer collaboration. How quickly can they write code? Those are the focus areas that you need to focus at. So tool is your focus and source is your focus. You should have, where do you write it, how do you save it, where do you do version controlling, how do you do your code backup, and these are the areas that you typically have to focus. Build and release are the small portion of overall DevOps engagement.
Right. Thank you.
All right, guys. So if there is no question, I will take your leave. Please reach out to Bhaskar if you have any questions. If you need course syllabus, Bhaskar will be more than happy to help you out. Requesting all of you guys to please leave your phone number in the chat, and also leave your phone number. I think that is more than enough. Please drop in your phone numbers so that Bhaskar can reach out to you. Thank you, guys.
Hello, Sahil.
Yeah, go ahead, buddy.
Yeah, okay. Are you covering the project completely from starting to end, like in a real-time scenario? You're telling the project last one. So in real time, like you use F5 load balancer, you got the security layers, everything, and auto scaling plus monitoring. Are you covering everything as a end-to-end in the project?
The
You're
answer
talking
is
about last
yes.
project. Yeah.
F5. The F5, Cisco, and other products were only demonstrated because we had a candidate from a networking background, and his curiosity was to understand how he can bring his existing experience and his existing learning of last 11 years on AWS and take advantage of some of the networking portfolios that AWS has to offer, right? But from a solutioning perspective, yes, we have VPC that we will do. We will also do VPN, right? Cisco or OpenVPN or some VPN product that we will use and we'll set it up. And this will be the start to finish project. So we'll basically start from scratch building our first VPC, and then we'll start with our database data layer, which is tier 3, then move into our application layer, which is tier 2, and then move into web tier, such as load balancer and your Route 53. And then you point it to your domain name. So yes, we will go through the entire cycle of building the project. We will also have design classes also on how do you design AWS architectures, what stencils to choose, what are the design considerations that you have to do. That is also a part of the session. We will teach you from designing onwards to building the infrastructure.
Okay. Yeah, that should be fine. And what's the duration of the course? Like how long it's going to take? Is it 1 month,
So
2 days?
the trainer's training is 40 hours and students practice is 60. So the overall training is for 100 hours.
100 hours? Okay. Oh yeah, my
And then
focus
in
is
the
more
process,
on
you will have
project
But the
side.
various
So
student
quiz.
practice.
Okay, I'm sorry, guys. One at a time, please go ahead.
So this is Yusuf. Now, the student practice sessions will be left over to the student alone, right? Or will it be proctored?
It will be because we have subscription with Google Classroom. So we have our classroom accounts that we follow, right? And under the classroom, we follow the assignments pretty strictly here. Let me give you a sneak peek. These are some of the classes that we are running. We have 12 people here, 6 people here, 8 people here that we are working with right now. So if you go to to-do list, right, some of these assignments that we have created, if you see here, one assignment is done. So AWS quiz 2. So if you see here, there's a girl called Shalini who is done. Her assignment is done. There's 7 more people the assignment has to complete, right? So you're getting my point, right? So we have a grading system also. We do this very rigorously. We have systems in place where we capture your attention. If you have not done your homework, we will figure that out. And then these discussions that we will have, and I'm sure you don't want to be a part of a discussion where you have scored 0. Next question, guys.
It will be like a managed class whereby people will be submitting their.
They don't have to submit anything. We onboard the student. We have an automated system where we register the student here. The student will get access to the quiz. He will have all the system access. He will do right answers, wrong answers. We will get to know that. How many times you have practiced, we'll get to know that, right? So we do that monitoring for all the students here. You don't have to do anything manually. We will onboard our students into the system, and system will generate those logins and other things. Now the second thing is, if you go to about the lectures that we have recorded and we have published here, the lectures are available that you can go and check, right? You can interact with other students and you can also collaborate. We also have that feature so that you can talk to class students while you're doing projects, and then they can come back and do project submissions here. Couple of project submissions they can come back and they can do, right? So this is a very interactive platform that we have. So we encourage students to participate. Everybody will have access to this. Everybody can access all. They'll have access to quiz. They'll have access to our soft materials that we have. And then we will also give them access to the lifetime support channel that we have on Slack. So we'll make them member of that so that anytime that they have any help, they can always post that on the Slack channel, and most of the answering I will do. But I also have a lot of other seniors who have done very well in terms of answering questions, so they also take a couple of leads to answer that. And then even if your candidates can grow up and if they're competent to answer that, I am sure they will start answering other candidates also.
Okay, thank you.
All right, next question, guys. Yeah, buddy, go ahead. All right then. So I see that I do not have any questions, or hopefully you also don't. So thank you very much for joining today's session, guys. Please share your feedback. Last week when we did session, one of the students said I speak too fast. I have to cut down on my rate of speech, so I'm working on that. But if you have any other feedback that you think you would like to share, please share it with Bhaskar and me. We would love to hear them, and we will definitely incorporate in our future training. Thank you for joining, guys. Bye bye.
Thanks, Sohail. Yeah, it's been very thorough. You've been very thorough. Thank you.
Yeah. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.